and tell us if you bought the stock, what level you bought it, if you're looking for a short-term view or indeed a long-term view. The first question is from Porus. He's asking about Gujarat State Fertilizers and Chemicals, and he's wondering whether he can buy the current price for the short term, and if so, can you give a target? Kunal, what's the view?
Well, I think, yes, you should look to buy the stock at current levels. I believe it's on a breakout mode for itself. GSFC has done exceptionally well this month, up 26%. So just by the nature of short term, the stock price has rallied on a much higher basis. But the patterns on the long term is quite interesting. The stock is on the verge of a 5-year, 6-year breakout after 2017, where the stock made a high of 150, 155 for itself. So if you have a time frame of 1 year, 2 years, you can start buying at current levels. And if there is any dip towards 142, that should be another level where you can look to average it out further.
All right, this one is from Soumitra, and he wants a view on Thyrocare. He's saying that everyone seemed bullish after the Farm Easy takeover, but the stock since then has only halved and no real commentary around the same. So he wants a view on the company. Gaurang, do you track Thyrocare? What's your view on this one?
So, Cheryl, not clear whether he's bought the shares or not, or he's already invested, but in the entire diagnosis universe, we like Dr. Lal PathLabs. And there were certain concerns in terms of the commentary made by the management during that, corporate development that happened, which sent not so very comfortable, levels as far as investors are concerned. So if you do want to invest in the entire diagnosis universe, then Dr. Lal PathLabs would be the preferred choice.
This next question is on Bayer Crop Science, and this is a question coming in from Pratiksha. She's bought it, let me just pull up the chart, but we're talking about the fact that she's already bought at levels of 5,900. She's facing a loss at this juncture. The stock is currently trading at 4,721. She's looking for a 6-month view. Kunal, what should she do? Should she average her cost right now?
Well, yes, you can look to average your, your holdings on Bayer Crop. It's a stock, but I believe should be held on from a longer term perspective. It's not a stock which will give you high returns in a span of couple of quarters. But if you have a span of at least 2 to 3 years for a stock like Bayer Crop, then it will give you those consistent compounding in terms of returns. So I think if you can adjust your time frame towards more longish term and then average at current levels, that could be a much better strategy rather than looking at it from a short term trading play.
All right, this one is coming in from Mr. Dasaradi, and he's asking whether he can buy Delta Corp at current price for a period of just 3 months. What's your take, Kunal?
Well, I would suggest to wait out maybe for a 5 to 7% dip on Delta Corp. Now, the charts are very strong and attractive, but then the short term, the last 2 months or last 2 weeks, the stock has rallied up more than 15% from its previous breakout points of 270, 275. So I think purely in that sense, I would suggest that you have to wait and watch. Let the stock come back towards, say, 310 levels. That could be a good level to buy Delta Corp if you're looking at it from a short-term trading play.
Okay, this next question is for you, Gaurang. I think we get a few questions like this once in a while. This is from Sandeep. He's saying that his wife is planning to invest about 1 lakh rupees for his daughter, and she's 1 year old. This is from the perspective of giving her a decent amount of money when she becomes an adult. So there's a fair amount of runway. Assuming that they add to this portfolio over a period of time, can you start them off with maybe 3 or 4 or 5 stocks that they can invest in?
So a lakh of rupees and 3 or 4 or 5 stocks would be a needless diversification, Alex. But yes, you can definitely consider 3, 4, 5 stocks just in case if you are planning to add on to the investment, keeping your daughter's future in mind. Having said that, I think with this lakh of rupees, I would advise initial investment in Reliance Industries and HDFC. Start off with these 2 names. As you go ahead in future, you have more investable capital. Add to these 2 stocks, and along with these 2 stocks, I would like to add 2 or 3 more, if you will. So you have HDFC, Reliance. The other choice would be L&T, possibly TCS, and maybe an Ultratech Cement. So I think you would have a 5 sectors, large cap names, and I wish them all the very best. My advice to them would be that every month make it a habit to save first and then take care of your expenses to ensure that your daughter gets a very strong and a secured future when she becomes of an age of possibly 20 plus. And all these 5 stocks would definitely give a very strong return over the next couple of years.
All right. This one is from Abhijit, and he wants to know about Manappuram Finance. He's not mentioned whether he's actually purchased this particular counter or he's looking to actually invest in it. But Kunal, how does Manappuram Finance look to you on the charts?
Well, it doesn't look attractive. In fact, the last 3 to 4 months, I've been advocating that this is a stock which should probably be more of a sell on rallies, or at least an exit, when the stock was at 170, 175 as well. And even at current levels of 115, I don't see any major bottoming out pattern coming out for Manappuram Finance. Now, both Manappuram Finance and Muthoot Finance have gone through a correction, but I think Manappuram Finance has corrected quite a lot more as compared to its other peer. Chart-wise, relative strength-wise, I think it looks quite weak in terms of chart structure. I would suggest not to look at a buy at current zone for the stock.
Okay, I don't know if you have enough data on this. Latent View Analytics is the name of the counter, Kunal, and it listed last year, but it's suddenly seen a spike. Let's pull up the intraday chart, guys. And we've got a viewer who's tuned in, Sai Krishna. He's asking about the long-term prospects, so not really concerned about today's move. He's saying that he bought at levels of 685. What should he do?
Well, I think purely from a chart basis, I would suggest that you can look to average out. Now, the reason why I say is that because the last 1 month of chart history for Latent View suggests that the stock is trying to bottom out at this 400, 450 zone. It spent a lot of time, the volumes have consolidated, and when you see 2 days or 3 days of strong up move, that's where the volumes, they tend to make a comeback again. So market participants are ready to buy the stock when you see a good positive day coming out in terms of stock price. Those are signs and signals that a bottom formation is getting in place for Latent View. If you bought at higher levels, good price where you can look to average it out.
All right. This one also is coming your way, Kunal. This one is from Harish Kumar, and he's asking whether he can enter Stovecraft for a fresh buy for the short term. He wants a technical view on this particular counter. Do you track Stovecraft?
Well, I don't track it, but looking at the charts, I don't sense that it's a very attractive time to try and buy these stocks. It's also a relatively low liquid name for from the mid cap or small cap category, as well as the stock is way below its 200 in the 50-day moving average. So price trends wise, volume wise, not an attractive bet. I would suggest to avoid.
Okay, Partha is looking for a view, Gaurang, on IDFC First Bank, which he's bought at levels of 47 with a long-term view. Would you suggest that he should hold on to this?
I would recommend, but it's going to be a long wait with a lot of patience, Alex. We have coverage on IDFC First Bank, and we all know the issues that are there on the balance sheet, but the management's commentary is extremely strong in terms of the recovery and improvement on the earnings front. So if you have patience and long-term time horizon, continue to hold on.
Okay. This one is from Amy, and she's saying she's bought Reliance Industries at 24.20 for the short term. She's asking whether she should book profits, and also she's asking you, Kunal, can it touch 52-week high again?
Well, we discussed Reliance Industries, and it was actually one of my recos as well a couple of weeks back when the stock was at 2350, 2400 levels. I strongly believe that the stock is poised for a much bigger breakout. So it's not just a retest of the previous highs which I'm looking out for, but I think with this kind of a slow, steady, gradual uptick for Reliance Industries, there should be a strong possibility that the stock may surge even beyond that as well. So if you bought at lower levels, you're sitting into good profits. You can either book out partial profits over here and trade your stop losses to maybe 2600 or 2580 on Reliance Industries. Or if you're looking to hold the stock, then I would suggest look out for targets of at least 2850, 2900 for Reliance.
Okay, IDBI Bank, again, this is not IDBI First Bank, this is IDBI Bank. It's in focus today, gaining close to 3%, Kunal. We've got Sudha, who's asking for a technical view. She says that she bought at the wrong time. She's bought at slightly elevated levels of 57. What is the view on the charts?
Is it IDBI Bank?
IDBI Bank, not IDBI First.
So I think IDBI is trading at 59 or something currently. I believe that it's a good short-term bet purely on the expectation that the stock is trying to form a bottom over here. So I think 3 days back or 4 days back, the stock managed to bounce off from its 200 DMA, and it's trying to protect those levels of 55, 54 on the short-term play. So I would suggest keep a stop loss at 54, hold on to the stock, and look out for targets in the range of 65, 67.
All right, this one is for you, Gaurang, and this from Denjon Lama, and he wants a long-term view on Web of Global. He's asking how does the fundamental look to you. Also, he wants to know whether he should look to average this particular counter. And going by this query, I believe that he's already invested in Web of Global. So, what's your take on this one?
Well, Gerald, unfortunately, we don't cover the stock, so I won't be able to comment on this one.
No problem. Kunal, what's your take on Web of Global?
I'll suggest to avoid, and I think if you've bought assumingly, then I think it's a good time where you should look to exit and come back towards a quality large cap name.
Gaurang, Tata Elxsi, we've got a question coming in from Hanmant Rao, and he's asking whether it can be bought at this current juncture for the long term.
Well, what a run it has been, a dream run actually on Tata Elxsi. And I think about just 15 days back, I had recommended this stock on some other platform. And from those levels, the stock has virtually surpassed or gone very close to the 52-week high. So, yes, we do have coverage on Tata Elxsi, but given the run-up, Alex, I think it would be prudent on my part to advise this investor that start off at current levels. Don't put all your money at current juncture or level. Phase out, break your investments into parts. And on dips, go on adding it. But definitely, one of the strongest performers amongst the mid-cap IT universe, and the company looks well placed in terms of earnings and business growth. So start off and add on dips would be a preferred strategy.
Okay, this one is from another Abhijit, and he's saying that he's holding 2,000 shares of Hathway Cables, which he's purchased at a level of about 23 rupees per share with the intention of the long term. But he now wants to know whether he should continue holding it or exit. Kunal, what's your take on Hathway?
I'll suggest to avoid, and to exit the stock even at current levels.
Okay, fair enough. We've got a question coming in from Aarti, and she's asking about Somani Ceramics being sold at the cost price of 815 and replacing it with something like a Kajaria Ceramic. So essentially a play on the building material space. Gaurang, what's the view?
Well, unfortunately, I don't recollect having coverage on these two. But what I would advise, since the investor is looking at an alternative investment idea, instead of going in for building material space, our call at Geojit is that real estate sector is looking extremely strong. And I think over there, if I have to identify just one company on the pedigree, management, execution capability, capacity, projects which are likely to be executed in the future, then look at Godrej Properties. I think this investment would be better off. This is just an alternative investment idea, Alex.
Gaurang, this one also is for you, and this one is from Sapna, and she wants a view on Redington India. She's already purchased it at a price of around 149 rupees per share. Long term, how does Redington India look to you?
Again, apologies, Cheryl, don't cover this stock.
No problem. Kunal, what's your take on Redington India? How does it look on the charts?
Well, it looks attractive now, even though the stock is below its 200 DMA at 144, 45 levels for itself. But I think the structure for these mid-cap IT names is very, very interesting. Now, the only question over here in my sense is that these stocks may take at least another couple of quarters or maybe at least 3 to 4 quarters for these stocks to get into a time-wise correction. If you're okay to holding these stocks and with a time frame of 6 to 9 months at least, where you can get these stocks into more of a time-wise correction zone, that could be a level where you can look to buy. So you can start at current levels, but hold up for a longer-term way.
Okay, gentlemen, it's time to hit the rapid-fire segment. We'll be throwing questions at you. I will start with you, Kunal. Axis Bank is the name of the counter. Neil from Delhi wants to know whether he can take a position in the stock right now.
Well, I would suggest yes, the stock looks attractive, or at a breakout point would suggest a buy. 825 could be a modest target.
Okay, Gaurang, Zomato, 200 shares. Nikhil has purchased at a price of 85.7 rupees per share. What should he do? Hold or exit?
Hold. We have a fundamental coverage and possibly sub 80 levels closer to 75. You can add or make positions.
Gaurang, between the two, we've discussed Tata Consumer, but would you say Avenue Supermarts or Tata Consumer? Which is the better bet? Akshay wants to know.
I'll go with Tata Consumer.
Okay, Kunal, Sagar wants a technical view on Timken. He's bought 4,000 shares at a price of around 960, 970 rupees per share. He wants to know whether does this stock have potential to surpass 2,700?
Well, yes, it does have good potential, so I would suggest to hold on. If possible, trail your stop losses to say 1950 odd levels for Timken.
Gaurang, Astral Limited is the name of the counter. We've got Krish, who's bought at levels of 2015, which is close to the current market price. Should he hold on?
Strong company, but don't have cover.
Kunal, should he hold on?
I would suggest yes, you can to hold on. In fact, the stock has also gone to a good recovery in the last 1 month.
Okay, Palani Yappan wants a view on Deccan Cement. He's already bought the stock at 463 rupees per share. He wants to know whether he should shift to Dalmia Bharat instead. What's your take on this one, Gaurang?
I would say Dalmia Bharat is a better investment. So you can make it.
Gaurang, the new listed company, Motherson Sumi Wiring, would you say that this is a good company to hold for the long term, and can it be bought at the current price? Imran wants to know.
I would rather go for Motherson Sumi. We have a coverage over.
Okay, and this one is coming in from Kavi. HDFC Life bought at 668 rupees per share. Wants to know whether she would hold or average. What's your take, Kunal?
You should definitely look to average at current levels.
IndiaMart Intermesh, would you buy? Would you sell IndiaMart and buy Angel One? Kunal.
Well, I would suggest yes, you can look to sell that, and if possible, look at even Motilal Oswal as a good bet.
All right, with that we come to the end of the rapid fire as well as queries. But Kunal, I want to ask you a question that Achal has asked about Nifty Bank. Where do you see it expire this week?
See, I think I would sense 36,800 could be a possible expiry for the Nifty Bank. That's where I think the data is heading. So we should be at least in the 400 to 500 points higher for the expiry tomorrow, hopefully.
All right. Well, we've had a pretty fruitful conversation over the course of the last half an hour. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining in. And if your question was not answered today, apologies for that. We can only take so many. Do stay tuned. We're slipping into a short break, but we've got a lot more lined up.